Tyler Oliveira portrays himself as a journalist.
Support our boots on the ground journalism.
Tyler Oliveira is a YouTuber turned investigative journalist who filmed this.
Putting himself in danger at the core of a lot of key issues, whether that's the homeless crisis, drug epidemic, gun violence, immigration. It sounds brave until you realize he seems to over-exaggerate the danger he's in at times. It's him talking about how they're being followed, camera pans over, shows no one.
We gotta go. All right, this is for real, we gotta go. Keep in mind, they may be right behind us. There's a guy coming this way. There's another guy.
Where's the guy? I don't see him anywhere. They're like, we're going into a park full of homeless people. We need exit strategies.
Going to these camps, you have to have an exit strategy. I know all the entrances and exits. That's one. We know where to go. And just know that there are moving cars right now next to us going 80 miles an hour.
Do any of these cars look like they're going 80 miles an hour? Maybe 35. And that's if we're being generous. This guy got into a fight with a charity when investigating the homeless tunnels in Vegas, claiming they hand out weed they buy from inside the tunnels.
And when we met up with them, they told me they hand out blunts that they buy from their plug in the tunnels.
But the conversation he shows isn't really about any of that. It's all about how they don't like his friend Kevin.
They said that my friend Kevin, a leading expert in homelessness and drug addiction, who showed me Portland, Oregon's drug epidemic, was an asshole for handing out $5 bills to the homeless.
I think I'm just gonna let you guys take all this stuff, keep the money, but we don't want to step on any toes here.
Oh, you went too hard on him.
I think he's a good guy, and I think it's bullshit to call him an asshole for no reason.
You apologize
Yeah.
for calling a colleague of yours an asshole?
He's a good guy,
And there is this higher mission, like you say?
Yep.
You know, to highlight this thing? We could put aside my antisocial faux pas right there.
No, I get it. It's a difference in philosophy, but maybe it's a difference in our philosophy too. And you guys do your thing and hand out the blunts,
No,
but
it's like,
yeah.
it's not about the weed. It's
Yeah, but we front load the conversation with calling the one guy who we've done a video with an asshole and a piece of shit. I wish you guys the best of luck. Please accept the donation kindly. If our goal is to highlight the issue as it is, then maybe we bring out our friend Kevin.
Kevin, this homeless expert in Portland, currently has 19 felony charges against him relating to stealing from nonprofits and government agencies. Kevin's whole stance is that we need to help the homeless less because it enables their lifestyle. Meanwhile, nearly every peer-reviewed study says the opposite. This guy is an asshole. Tyler then makes up that he had to run for his life because the charity put out a hit on him.
That's me running for my life after learning a charity has ordered them to attack me on site.
The charity did not put out a hit on him. They're just saying it's dangerous if you don't go with an organization. And this really sums up Tyler's video format. He records stuff that really isn't all that interesting and then adds a voiceover to create a narrative that doesn't exist. Fast forward through his video and he's never threatened by anyone. He never runs from anyone. The actual footage is him running from a flood that doesn't exist.
And that this tunnel is about to flood with water and kill all of us.
This grows into Fox News watching his video and interviewing Kevin, who outright slanders the charity.
So-called charities are actually buying cannabis from the mole people and then selling it back to the mole people at a profit. Subhuman conditions. Do you feel like these so-called nonprofits see homelessness as just a business opportunity?
You know, I do, Jesse, and what once was a cause has become this multi-billion-dollar industry, and what we have done is that we keep the homeless comfortable on the streets. You know, we bring them marijuana, we bring them tarps and tents and food.
You could really only do this if nobody loves you. That's why I want you to call your mom, your dad, your significant other and show them that you appreciate them this Valentine's Day. And if you want to give them a gift, why not check out Holskern? Holskern makes specialized watches and jewelry for men and women made from natural materials. And the result is them having some of the most cool and unique designs out there. Watches that are made entirely of wood, that have a leaf design as the face. Ones that have cobalt and walnut combinations, where you can see all the mechanical work. My favorite watch recently has been the Moonlight Marble watch. It tells you the date, the day of the week, the phase of the moon. And it's not just their watches that are cool. Holskern's got glasses, rings, necklaces, handbags, everything you need to look cool and sexy. Okay, maybe not the best example. So if you're still looking for a gift for that special someone this Valentine's Day, Holskern is the perfect solution. So go to holskern.com/WillyMacShow and use code WillyMac to get 15% off until February 16th. With every purchase coming with a red gift bag to make it that much more convenient. Thank you, Holskern, for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to Tyler's incredible journalism.
Back to my hotel and got these texts from Holy Smoke.
I wanted to warn you that we had 2 encampments that expected you guys, and when you weren't with us and we said why, I wonder what you said. And they said, so if they show up, would you get in trouble if we fuck them up? If they're not with you, they're not welcome. I'm advising you to not go into the tunnels. They will not welcome you or anyone else not associated with the charities they trust. $900 donation to Paisley and her organization, and they put a hit on us because I don't want to film with them?
How is that a hit? They asked why Tyler wasn't there and they told him. She's just saying it's safest to go with the charity. Tyler goes into the tunnels and finds out how dangerous it is when it floods. He frames this random homeless guy they meet as some ancient elder of the tunnels.
What's up, bro? We're good to come in?
Orange. With a bounty on our head and signs of holy smoke visiting here yesterday, I cautiously entered the tunnel and met one of their elders. Orange. How often does it flood down here?
They try to open the floodgate.
What happens when it floods? Do you just have to get as many of you? You die?
Sometimes they just open the floodgates.
Just randomly.
They can open to 101% and flood everything. A lot of people have died.
Yeah.
I mean, instantly. Right now, it could open up right now. We'd all be dead.
Actually?
Yeah, really.
I don't mean to disrespect this guy's credentials, but doesn't it need to rain for the tunnels to flood? That's the only time people drown, is when there's a storm. But Tyler just pushes forward that everyone's on the verge of death.
After learning that the floodgates could open at any moment, flooding these tunnels and killing everyone.
This is insane. All of these charities come to the tunnels to provide relief, but according to Tyler, they're putting all of their volunteers' lives at risk because these floodgates could open at any moment, killing everybody in the middle of summer. Tyler then makes up that homeless people living in these tunnels just pop out of the ground through these secret entrances. He just makes up a whole story about some random woman he sees.
That woman just came out, just popped out of the tunnel. I'm genuinely curious if we can find an entry point, because that woman popped out of thin air. What about right there?
Yeah.
Look at that. That might be it.
What? Oh my God, is that actually
I think it's it. Do you think she was in here? That would literally boil her alive, I'm pretty sure, yeah? This is crazy. So this woman just popped straight out of this. It's gotta be hot as hell.
Bro, that's like 2 feet deep. You think she was curled up in a ball in there? I want to remind everybody that Tyler told the charity that he couldn't provide them the angle for his video because that would be scripting.
I'm just telling you the reality that our folks don't want to be documented and without prior consent and knowing exactly how they're going to be portrayed. It's called scripting, something we don't do.
Meanwhile, he just made up an entire story about a woman he saw. You're proving that the charity was right to ask you that. Tyler continues to script drama for his video by walking into a tunnel and running from a fake flood.
The floodgate had recently opened in this area, and it could open again at any point.
According to Holy Smoke, when Tyler was down there recording, it had been weeks since it rained.
After we met him, he came back the next day. Remember how dry it was, right? There had been no rains. He went down into the tunnels, and he's got footage of himself running from a flood. He's running from a non-existent flood when there hadn't been any rain in weeks.
Make it quick, let's peel out. We are foot deep in water.
A foot deep in water? That's like 1 centimeter at most, not even an inch.
About a fifth of a mile in, how deep did these tunnels actually go?
Anybody home?
In what world is that a fifth of a mile? They're like 20 meters into this tunnel. But it's cool, just some Tyler Oliveira journalism. Just put on some scary music and act like your life's in danger.
I'm so fucking scared. This thing floods were dead, by the way.
Yeah.
They go in a different tunnel and fake hearing the floodgates open.
We're quite deep in. Okay, I can rest assured that if we have to run, it is hella slippery and everyone's falling down.
Kevin, you know what that sounded like? It sounded like a floodgate.
That does sound like a floodgate.
Is that a floodgate? Okay, let's go. Let's go. Jesus Christ.
What? Is that a floodgate? Oh, I thought we were gonna die.
Wow, was that a floodgate? No, it hasn't rained. There's been former homeless people to go on the news and explain how it works.
We asked him what he would tell decision makers about what would save lives when it comes to flash flooding and the homeless.
I would tell them, post signs is not enough. There still should be someone comes past and let everybody know, hey, we're really expecting this amount of rain and it would be wise for you guys to get out. Anybody, one person is enough to save everybody down their life. A better warning system for them, and not everybody have phones, not everybody know it's raining. When they're in the tunnels, they could be asleep and not even know it's raining and wake up to water to their waist.
It's called scripting, something we don't do.
Who is he kidding? This entire video is scripted.
Foot deep in water. So this woman just popped straight out of this.
Also, at the beginning of the video, he said this clip was from the charity putting out a hit on him.
That's me running for my life after learning a charity has ordered them to attack me on sight and that this tunnel is about to flood with water and kill all of us.
He just lied. It has nothing to do with that. This video ends with Tyler expanding on allegations made towards the charity, saying that they're buying weed from inside the tunnels.
Final fact you'll love is that this nonprofit buys the weed they hand out. They claim to have a plug in the tunnels.
We have the most overdoses and deaths in history due to fentanyl, and so you are buying marijuana off the streets. I hope to God that's not true. And if that is happening, buying drugs off the street and redistributing it, and you are a non-profit 501(c), what is wrong with you? Marijuana is almost always laced with fentanyl. That is completely unethical.
We never see where this claim originates. Not once on camera does Tyler confront Holy Smoke about it, despite him recording their entire argument. He just has this claim as an investigative journalist. list seems suspicious. Kevin continues to hammer this charity, repeating that they're redistributing weed inside the tunnels.
My question to you is, how many people have overdosed and died because of this? If you're doing this, you got blood in your hands, brother.
So Holy Smoke now puts out hits on people and murders people with fentanyl-laced weed. Tyler's video would go viral, being picked up by Fox News, and his tall tale would grow even more.
But overdoses, homicides, and disease aren't the biggest threat. A flood could wipe out 2,000 souls in an instant and make Katrina look like child's play.
This is off topic, but where's this guy getting that 2,000 people would die in an instant? That would be every single person in the tunnels and then some. These tunnels get used every time it rains. It doesn't need to be exaggerated to mass casualties, Hurricane Katrina levels of casualties, to be an interesting story. This anchor then accuses Holy Smoke of making money by selling weed, a brand new allegation.
So-called charities are actually buying cannabis from the mole people and then selling it back to the mole people at a profit. Homeless drug addicts are now just a means by which nonprofits make a profit and by which big government gets even bigger. And they're getting better at hiding the money because now it's going underground.
There's not one receipt, no new information has been put out. How many new lies do we get to make up before this becomes slander? Fox then brings on Kevin Dahlgren, who certifies all this information.
Like Kevin Dahlgren, a homeless outreach volunteer who interviewed some of these mole people.
Now, of course, you had mentioned this nonprofit where you would hope that people are down there helping them, but their main purpose is to supply them with weed. That's what they do. We couldn't even believe it.
Ignore that Tyler opens his video packing over 100 meals with Holy Smokes. It's become a story where every time they tell it, it gets a new fabricated detail. Now they talk about how they met homeless people who have gone blind from living in the tunnels so long. Actual mole people.
The deeper we go down there, the more we found legitimate mole people that just live in pitch darkness, that are completely blind. I mean, it was crazy down there.
Crazy how that just didn't make Tyler's video. It would have been good content. It's because it's completely made up. So what is the truth behind Holy Smoke? I took the time to email Holy Smoke to hear about what they did and their side of the story. Holy Smoke's mission is to provide relief to the homeless. In 2023, they claimed to have provided over 5,200 meals, 2,600 socks, 200 cases of water, found permanent housing for 8 people, and created a mailbox to help get people their IDs and reconnect to their families. All things Kevin says the charity doesn't do, even though Tyler participated in some of it.
Subhuman conditions. Do you feel like these so-called nonprofits see homelessness as just a business opportunity?
You know, I do, Jesse, and what once was a cause has become this multi-billion-dollar industry, and what we have done is that we keep the homeless comfortable on the streets. Where's the real help? Where's the help recovering and helping you with your mental health issues, or getting them IDs, or communication with their family? All the important stuff that actually breaks the cycle of homelessness, that really isn't a big part of this industry. The industry needs these people to stay on the streets.
But what about the handing out cannabis allegations? In an email I received back from Holy Smoke, they said, "We never bought weed from homeless people. Weed is legal and cheap in Las Vegas. The entire assertion is absurd. We don't hand out weed to anyone. Holy Smoke is not a harm reduction charity. We are simply weed friendly, which does distinguish us from puritanical organizations. In Las Vegas, it is extremely normal for someone in a group to have a vape pen. They are welcome to hit it." Is Tyler blatantly lying? Yes. We have no idea where this fiction comes from. He and his colleague Dahlgren seem to just make stuff up. The claim that people living in the tunnels have gone blind shows the bizarre levels of fantasy they indulge in. It seems they just make up hoaxes. Holy Smoke then claims they received death threats from Tyler's video. A lot of charity organizations will deny people resources if they're under the influence. Holy Smoke doesn't. People, including volunteers, bring marijuana, share it, and smoke it, they don't care. You see me having a drink with my friend Larry? Same thing. There's no sense of us distributing alcohol to homeless people. I know Larry. I know he isn't an alcoholic. During the time he was homeless, we'd have a drink here and there, keep his spirits up, and remind him of his life before. Through much persistence, we got Larry back inside. So whether you agree with their methods or not, they do have some success stories. Holy Smoke adamantly claims that they don't distribute or hand out cannabis, but they do bring it and share it. Now, I don't know if they make this distinction for legal purposes or not, but they firmly stand by those definitions. Tyler thinking it's not ethical for them to do this is fine, but what's crazy is how much he villainizes them for it without ever asking a single question on camera. He never confirms anything in his video. It's funny because if you watch Tyler's video, you could see this weed narrative grow more and more elaborate. First, it was them handing out weed to homeless people. Then it was they're buying lace weed from in the tunnels and redistributing it, killing people.
My question to you is how many people have overdosed and died because of this? If you're doing this, you got blood in your hands, brother.
And then finally, it becomes they're buying laced weed from in the tunnels and then selling it back for profit. They're part of the homeless outreach billion-dollar industry.
So-called charities are actually buying cannabis from the mole people and then selling it back to the mole people at a profit. Homeless drug addicts are now just a means by which nonprofits make a profit and by which big government gets even bigger.
Holy Smoke is a very small team. I believe everybody on it works separate jobs. This is primarily volunteer work, so Kevin coming up with this narrative is slander.
What once was a cause has become this multi-billion-dollar industry, and what we have done is that we keep the homeless comfortable on the streets.
It's crazy because Kevin is the one with 25 charges against him, some of which are stealing from nonprofits. The only person who is a corrupt thief is Kevin. When Kevin's indictment was made public, Tyler would defend him saying, "What happened to innocent until proven guilty?" Well, Tyler must have some hard evidence to accuse Holy Smoke of charity fraud and illegally distributing drugs, so I reached out to Tyler and he wrote up an entire document for me. He says he had an off-the-record conversation with Holy Smoke prior to filming the video. It required him to donate $900 before meeting with him, and they would guide him through the tunnels. Holy Smoke proudly told us that they hand out weed to homeless people. Holy Smoke even went on to say that they supported a local plug who lived in the tunnels himself, whom they bought the weed from and handed out to other homeless folks in the tunnels. So it's a he said, she said situation. However, Tyler's falling out with Holy Smoke happened on camera that same day. But their argument doesn't seem to be about this plug in the tunnels. In fact, it doesn't come up once. It's entirely about how they don't like Kevin Dahlgren.
I think I'm just gonna let you guys take all this stuff, keep the money, but we don't want to step on any toes here.
Oh, you went too hard on him.
I think he's a good guy, and I think it's bullshit to call him an asshole for no reason.
You apologize for calling a colleague of yours an asshole?
He's a good guy,
And there is this higher mission, like you say?
Yep.
You know, to highlight this thing? We could put aside my antisocial faux pas right there.
No, I get it. It's a difference in philosophy, but maybe it's a difference in our philosophy too. And you guys do your thing and hand out the blunts,
No,
but
it's like,
yeah.
It's not about the weed.
Yeah, but we front load the conversation with calling the one guy who we've done a video with an asshole and a piece of shit. I wish you guys the best of luck. Please accept the donation kindly. If our goal is to highlight the issue as it is, then maybe we bring out our friend Kevin.
If you think what they're doing is immoral, then why would you let them keep the money? How is this the extent of the conversation? As you can tell, this conversation is extremely cut up, and I don't believe for a second that Tyler would be arguing with this charity about their methods and not bring up all the illegal activity that they're doing. So I asked him for the raw footage of this exact conversation. He sent me the document I showed you earlier, but no footage. I asked for it again, and he didn't provide it. So I asked him a third time, and he said he would, but never did. So I asked a fourth time. This has been going on for 5 days now. I reiterated why it was important for me to see. He directly responds to me saying, "The idea that you don't bring up a single time that they're buying weed from in the tunnels and redistributing it as you were beefing with them would be shocking." And Tyler replies, "Same day, but yes. It's almost 2 years old. Going through stacks of hard drives. We'll see if I can find it." How do you organize your videos? You responded to Vince with the raw footage right away. He never got back to me. So I asked a fifth time. No response. What a big story Tyler is uncovering about this charity, and he never even attempts to ask them on camera. I just don't believe it. It doesn't make any sense. Fox News would take their segment off their website, probably because it's not based on any factuality. I want to point out in Tyler's document, he writes, "Given that our video's subject matter revolves heavily around addiction and mental health," in reality it wasn't. It's mostly him just pogging out in the tunnels, but whatever. It felt extremely counterintuitive and unprofessional to hand out weed to people suffering from a mental crisis and pre-existing drug addictions that could potentially be exaggerated. If Tyler feels that way, that's totally fair. They know what they're doing is unorthodox, but Tyler, I gotta ask, how are you surprised? The founders are all potheads. It's called Holy Smoke. Their method is to provide people with a good time and community in hopes that they ask for help. And they've had some positive results. In your tweet defending Kevin, who stole from government and nonprofit funds, you wrote, "You were so quick to silence someone because they disagree with your methods and you're failing to see the bigger picture." How does that apply to Kevin of all people and not Holy Smoke? Oh yeah, you know what, Tyler? I do disagree with Kevin's methods. Stealing money from charity is wrong. So in a single video, Tyler makes up that a charity put a hit on him, that the charity is mass distributing illegal marijuana. On Fox News, it became part of a for-profit billion-dollar industry. He makes up a homeless lady popped out of a 1-foot hole, faked running for his life, and platformed an expert that was already famous for making unsubstantiated claims about homelessness. He made up that the tunnels were making people blind, and then was charged with the same corruption he accused the charity of. But what if I told you that this wasn't the first time Tyler has done this?
Kiss my ass, kiss my ass, kiss my ass.
Tyler brings in experts in his videos to provide extra clarity all the time, but he never tells the audience how controversial these people really are. You have Sheriff Carmine Marcino, who works in Lee County, Florida. Carmine was attracting a lot of bad press because the county police budget was ballooning, going from $196 million in 2020 to $315 million in 2024. They got robo-dogs and Avengers-esque monitor setup, little cutting-edge baby drones.
This is our Black Hornet stealth drone.
What?
It's a little helicopter and it fits in the palm of your hand. We are the first law enforcement agency to purchase this in the country. This is typically for military purposes, okay, but now they opened it up to law enforcement.
But apparently it's been worth it because Tyler claims that they've gone from the 6th most dangerous county in the country to the 3rd safest.
Plus utilizing our general fund in our budget. When you take drugs and guns off the streets, the crime rate goes down and the quality of life goes up. And Lee County is really, leading the way.
In fact, Sheriff Marcino claims that in 2020 when he was elected sheriff, he took Lee County from the 6th most unsafe city in America to the 3rd safest county in the nation when it comes to violent crime. While I can neither confirm nor deny that statistic, here's a graph of the violent crime in Lee County since 2020.
That's not a graph of the violent crime rate. That's the total amount of homicides by year. And at this point, it was only April of 2024. He's literally showing an out of context graph. What do you mean you can't confirm or deny this? Have you tried Google? If you look up violent crime rates in Florida by year, you can see that since Sheriff Carmine's taken over, things have made pretty much the same in Lee County, being its safest in 2019. It was nowhere near the 6th most dangerous county in the nation, let alone Florida. It was actually the 11th safest. And in 2023, was Lee County the 3rd safest county in the nation when it comes to violent crime? No, it wasn't even 3rd in Florida. It was 10. Its crime rate actually went up a little bit. Investigative journalist, by the way. On top of that, Sheriff Carmine is now being investigated by the FBI for money laundering and misappropriating funds. He was issued a federal subpoena this last November.
The investigation began after former deputy Mike Hollow, who ran against Marcino in November and lost, said that he met with the FBI after Marcino's longtime friend, Ken Romano, claimed that he was being paid $5,700 a month for next to no work.
If I went 5 times in the 6 months I worked there, it was a lot.
Romano said every month he would take $1,700 and funnel it to Marcino's father so he could pay for a Mercedes.
Every month I would just give his father the money. I would take cash, I'd throw it on top of the medicine cabinet.
Now, NBC2 obtained 14 similar consultant agreements.
Bro, this guy has 14 other agreements like this. Tyler has 2 experts on and both of them are credibly accused of stealing money from taxpayers. Another time, Tyler goes to Seattle and meets up with Jonathan Cho, a homeless expert and journalist. What makes this guy a homeless expert? Well, he just films homeless people. He's the guy that walked around with Tyler saying they were being followed, but when the camera pans, it shows no one there.
Began to enter homeless camps right next to the highway and realized we were being followed.
They're obviously,
They're following us, bro. So it's gotta move. Tyler, for real.
Okay, all right, we gotta go. All right, so it's for real, we gotta go. Keep in mind, they may be right behind us. There's a guy coming this way. There's another guy. Yeah. Let's be aware of our surroundings. Seriously, watch out.
The enemy is closing in on our position from every direction. Look, there's another guy. Like, where could have this man been? In the middle of the street? Is he a ghost dodging 80-mile-per-hour cars?
Literally, we are at an overpass right now. This is wild.
What's wild about that? You're on a 2-lane road. Nothing about that is remotely interesting. They walk into an area with a homeless encampment. Every city I've lived in has one of these, and they're like, we need exit strategies.
Going to these camps, you have to have an exit strategy. I know all the entrances and exits. That's one. We know where to go.
He acts like he's in the jungles of Vietnam. I know every path. Brother, you're in a park. Just follow the paved sidewalk. They'll ask homeless people if they need anything, and when they say no, Tyler and Cho will look at each other and be like, see, they love being homeless.
While drug addiction kept many of these people on the streets, we stumbled upon this giant fortress that led me to wonder if some of these people actually preferred living on these streets.
This is a pretty epic fortress you have here almost. How long did it take to build this?
It's not done yet.
You feel safe out here?
It almost feels like home, I guess.
Hey there. How's it going? Is it too cold for you out here?
Not in this blanket.
Okay, fair. Do you need any help from anyone? And if so, how could someone help you?
Well, I don't need any more help.
Okay.
I got all the things I need.
Notice what he said. He said he's choosing this.
Oh, the lifestyle.
He didn't say that at all. Neither of those guys said that.
The lifestyle.
Sure.
That is the piece that certain homeless advocates don't want out there. And what do you do about these people in society?
I don't know.
These are the people who've given up on society. They're done. They don't want to work anymore. They don't want to pay taxes. They don't want to pay their bills.
There are some people who want to be homeless, but they're pretty rare. Tyler doesn't run into a single person who says that in this video. They see a dude who owns a generator and they're like, must mean he loves poverty.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you. I mean, these guys are all self-sufficient. Everyone's running on generators here. There's power, there's electricity.
It seemed like some of these homeless people just didn't want to be part of society.
To his viewers, what is your thought process while watching this? Well, he is getting a haircut. Must mean he doesn't want to join society. Did you ask him that? Did he say that? Nope. Okay, just make it up. That's cool. In another video, Tyler would go to Vancouver and imply that all of these convenience stores were only staying open because homeless people smoke fentanyl out of the bongs they buy.
Once again, it is quite easy to get some drug paraphernalia. And of course, you got the food desert items right here. You got 3 cereal boxes for 15 bucks, knives only $25, all hats only $25. Spend 50 on a bong and torch, get free butane, 3 butane for only $10.
He acts like these shops' entire business strategy is around serving the homeless, like they're buying $25 knives and smoking fentanyl out of Pokemon bongs. Now, is it most likely that or people with jobs and money who smoke weed because weed is legal in Canada? I'm gonna go with the latter. He says nonprofits are incentivized to keep people addicted to drugs. To back up this claim, Tyler interviews this guy.
More bongs, more bongs. Bongs, 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 bongs. It's easier to get a bong out here than it is a monster.
And not to mention needles, foil, and anything else you might need to support your crippling drug addiction. It's almost like nonprofits and NGOs are incentivized to help keep these people addicted to drugs rather than guiding them towards rehabilitation and sobriety.
And I've been smoking crack all day.
Oh,
it's not
No, I hear you.
It's the drug user.
My question though is reduce the harm, keep that person alive. But if there's no emphasis on helping that person detox or get into rehab at some point, if you can get acutely poisoned much faster with something like this, then maybe alcohol is my argument. Government's not going out handing out vodka shots, right?
They provide drugs and needles to prevent the spread of disease and overdoses. What would handing out vodka do for alcoholics? It makes no sense. But I will give Tyler credit, he at least talks to a homeless expert in Dr. Summers. But like all of Tyler's experts, they're shrouded in controversy. This guy has letters written by his peers saying he cites evidence that doesn't exist. I wish to clarify some strong conclusions Dr. Julian Summers has regarding scattered versus congregate housing. Work we did together in the Vancouver at Home project did not find significant differences in residential stability among participants who were randomly assigned scattered versus congregate housing. I am not aware of the evidence he's referring to. And what does Dr. Summers talk about in Tyler's video? It's about how scattered housing is better.
One of the studies that we did along these lines involved offering people choices of housing. Housing in intact buildings where the sort of the social mix was already established. It was people paying rent, going about their lives. We went ahead and did it, and it was successful.
He then tells a story about how the government hated his research he did in 2020, saying safe supply was harmful, and how they're trying to silence him by making him burn all of his data.
What did the government do in response to your research, which seems like a solution to a lot of these problems?
This research built up over 20 years. Several investigators, a lot of PhD trainees developed their research and adding to this pool of data. And we got to the point of drawing it all together and saying we put together a proposal to begin scaling up effective supports for people in multiple regions of BC and evaluating what we were doing. And we presented that to the government. And what I didn't know when I made this recommendation, this presentation, is that the government had already committed financially to a massive expansion of housing people altogether and providing them with drugs. Because I'm an honest person and I thought I was speaking to people with integrity.
Sure.
I said one of the things we're going to be able to do with this updated information is evaluate some of the public services that have been operating through the COVID years, during which we had expanded this model of congregating people together. 1 week after I made this presentation to deputy ministers, we received a letter from the government ordering us to immediately destroy all of the data and sanitize hard drives. And
So 20 years of work down the drain.
I mean, massive data holdings covering like about 250,000 people.
That would have effectively helped anyone in this situation.
When I first saw this, I was like, that's crazy. The government's trying to silence and punish a dude who's just trying to help people. So I looked up this letter, and they do tell him to delete and sanitize his database called the IMED. But when I read the letter, they act like it's standard practice because they're moving to a new database called the Data Initiative Program, which was started in 2018. That the data is or will be broader in scope than that of which is provided provided by Dr. Summers' database, and says it's because the information sharing agreement is up between the government ministries and the college Summers works for as of March 31st, 2021, and that the ministry's data will be available on the Data Initiative program. So to me, it really doesn't sound like this conspiracy of the government committing to funding. It sounds like standard practice. So I emailed Dr. Summers for clarification. He says that asking him to move to the new database was absurd because it hadn't been built yet, and it would not be capable of replacing the data they had collected when it was fully built. He claims that the government is just lying. So I asked Dr. Summers if he could provide any evidence that the database was incomplete, because I imagine there would be hundreds of researchers upset by this. He never does, instead repeating that it's inappropriate for the government to act this way. So finally I said screw it and emailed the head of the Canadian Government Ministry of Public Safety, Leah Grainer, who wrote the letter to Dr. Summers. And she claims that Dr. Summers' database was exclusively used by Summers and his students, and that the Data Initiative program was available to all academic and government researchers. She then says all previous data provided by Summers in his database is on the new Data Initiative program, as well as a wide array of new data from other ministries. So somebody is lying. When I asked about the request to delete his database, Leah Grainer clarified that information sharing agreements have always been limited to specific timeframes. Timeframes of sharing agreements with researchers are shared so that expectations around data retention/destruction are clear, and timeframes are agreed upon before data is shared. So she makes it sound like standard practice. They're both accusing each other of lying. She ends with the new database is available to Dr. Summers to continue his research should he choose. The point of me taking you down this rabbit hole is to say that Tyler should be doing this before bringing Dr. Summers on as the premier expert on homelessness and victim of the government. This guy has a letter written about him signed by 50 of his peers saying that his research is low quality and that he cherry picks data. He had a study on safe supply saying it was ineffective, and when it was assessed, it was deemed a critically low quality review. When I asked Dr. Summers about this, he claims that the criticism is bullshit. It's like evaluating for the safety of a motorcycle using a checklist that's designed for cars. And maybe he's right, everybody's wrong but him. But Tyler should be upfront with this information. His experts are always controversial and have these scandals, typically the minority opinion in their field. It doesn't seem like an accident. Tyler does this on purpose. Tyler decided to check out the city of Minneapolis 4 years after George Floyd's death. His experts in this video were Bob Kroll, president of the police union. Good, he'll be able to provide some first-hand insight. But he's also had multiple accusations of using excessive force. He was suspended multiple times for this, paid out in lawsuits. Tyler never discloses this. Bob's just the calm guy handling things right.
I just released a written statement, and that was within a day or two after, very brief, that, you know, the officers are cooperating in the process, and let's be calm and not jump to judgment. And I was apparently villainized for that.
Why was that controversial?
I still to this day don't know the answer to that. If you read the statement, there's nothing controversial about it.
If you actually pause and read his statement, he calls BLM a terrorist organization and that everything would be fine if they just talked about the violent criminal history of George Floyd. It's him trying to figure out a PR angle.
I just released a written statement that, you know, the officers are cooperating in the process, and let's be calm and not jump to judgment.
That's not what that letter said at all. Tyler's other expert for this video is Bob's wife, Liz Collins, who made the documentary The Fall of Minneapolis, claiming that Chauvin is innocent. Now, I don't care if you think Chauvin is innocent or not. My point is that nearly everything in this documentary is wrong. The doc claims that instead of showing body cam footage, the prosecution repeatedly showed a still picture of George Floyd getting kneeled on. But that's just not true. If you read articles written by reporters who followed this case, you'll see that they watched different camera angles and video footage 166 times. They claim that Baker, the guy who did the autopsy, changed his report.
The original autopsy was done 12 hours after he was declared dead. The official report that came out a little bit later, I'm told, was changed after the family had a review by two other forensic examiners.
Changed by who? What's your source? He never says. We're just supposed to believe it. Baker in the trial testified, I would still classify it as a homicide today, but they never mentioned this in the doc because it doesn't fit their narrative. If you want to interview people that have these conspiracies, do it. I enjoy content like this, but at least look into it beforehand just a little bit. He frames them as if they're entirely right, as if they've uncovered something. Nearly every question and claim she makes in this documentary can be disproven just by reading the court case. Tyler, it's your video. It's not called The Conspiracies of George Floyd. It's called I Investigated George Floyd's Murder. Murder in quotation marks. But really, the word investigated should be in quotation marks because you didn't look into anything. Tyler has a video where he goes to Springfield, Ohio and asks about the Haitian immigrants eating cats and geese.
Springfield, Ohio. What was once a small town in Ohio home to roughly 60,000 working class Americans until 20,000 plus Haitian immigrants flooded into town with rumors of them eating the neighbors' cats and local geese.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it?
I've seen a video of a guy getting a Canadian goose, a Haitian dude, and I have rumors of
Haitians taking cats.
Tyler's video came out on September 11th, 2024. At this point, that video and picture had already been debunked. The woman eating the cat was not from Springfield, she was from Canton, and she was not a Haitian immigrant, she was American. Authorities have made clear that there's no evidence of cats or any other pets being harmed. As for the goose photo, again, it had already been debunked as a Reddit post dating all the way back to July. It was in Columbus, Ohio, not Springfield, completely irrelevant. As Vince has pointed out, there's no way Tyler can tell if this guy is Haitian or not. 2 days after Tyler posted his video, it was revealed that the geese were hit in a car accident. And in that county, that guy's totally in the clear to have them. So in both instances, it's just fake news. And Tyler made a video anyway where residents cited a fake Facebook post as if it was true.
I heard on Twitter that cats are getting kidnapped. Is that
Yes,
true?
Yes, my mom actually seen a post on Facebook. There was Haitians in a white van driving around the neighborhoods collecting cat.
For what?
Skinning them and eating them. Snyder Park, our actual park. If a Haitian is caught walking the grounds down there, they can get arrested because they're going down there and they're killing the Canadian geese so they can take them home and eat them.
One guy wildly claims that the Haitians are driving around this truck piling all the cats in the back. No photo, no video. Tyler never asked another resident if this is true.
We've lost a whole bunch of cats. There was a van pulled over that had over 100 cats in it with the Haitians. They said they was eating them.
Actually?
Yeah.
Not fake news.
Not fake news.
So a van was collecting cats and eating them.
I watched it happen, yeah. Watched them get pulled over with the cats and admit to the police that they was eating them.
You're not joshing with me.
No, I'm almost 50 years old, buddy. No.
You don't mess around.
No.
Well, it must be true then. This is crazy. The entire premise of this video is based off of already debunked claims. Tyler's local expert that he brings on repeats these debunked claims.
So out of pure luck, I met up with Anthony Harris, the guy who went viral for giving this speech at Springfield's town hall.
These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They flipping cars in the middle of the street. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like.
This guy would later admit he went to town hall and said all of this without ever seeing anything.
The same day I went down there, somebody tagged me in a Facebook status and was like, Anthony, me and my kid was just in the park and then they just went up and grabbed a goose and cut his head off and then ran off and was eating it. I said, what the I said, now why would they do that? And then I went down there and I told the people downtown, like, what's up? Like, what y'all gonna do about this?
Yeah, so somebody told you that you didn't actually see it.
I never seen that shit.
Tyler never once asked him if he saw it firsthand.
This guy right here, probably a Haitian dude. Yo, bonjour.
You got a cat right beside him.
Stop! This is funny, but this guy's also spreading actual misinformation about it. Vince would point out a lot of this in his video. Meanwhile, Tyler's response was to lie, say that he wasn't showing the full story.
Vince will selectively only show you one side of the groups of people I interview and not show you the others.
Now that all the immigrants have gotten here, guess what? You're getting new stoplights.
Say hello, they'll smile to you. I don't know how many times I still sleep with my doors open.
Oh yeah, interesting.
And I've never had to worry about it. It's more the Americans.
Here, Tyler is defending his Springfield video by showing a completely different video. It is so dishonest.
Ironically, we may have found the most accepting, loving town in America. And so I ask you, how can I both co-sign this answer and this answer in the same video?
Because it's not the same video. This is called lying. There's no other way to go about it.
X gon' give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you.
Tyler really likes to repeat that mainstream media is bought and corrupt.
You want more boots on the ground news like this? That's not limited by what sponsorships will approve or what YouTube will monetize, and that's not bought and paid for like mainstream media. I want to make this YouTube channel fully independent, and I need your help.
That he's becoming a journalist.
Tyler Oliveira is a YouTuber turned investigative journalist who filmed this.
And that he does authentic on-the-ground reporting. Support his journalistic efforts on Patreon.
Subscribe to my Patreon at patreon.com/Tyler Oliveira for as little as $5 a month. Help support our boots on the ground journalism.
But is it really authentic on the ground journalism when he goes to places and just makes up how in danger he is, fabricates what he sees? His experts then repeat this made-up finding on national television, spreading this information farther. The experts he brings on tend to be critically panned by his peers. Sometimes they even have charges, investigations being done on them, never double-checking their claims because he can't use Google. At what point is Tyler being a worse version of the biased media he hates so much? Tyler's new 2020 2025 resolution is to tell the uncomfortable truth, that unbiased news is a myth, and that he mostly agrees with those branded as far-right. He signs off saying, if that makes me a far-right fascist Nazi, then so be it. I'm not calling you far-right or a Nazi, I'm calling you retarded. Bro doesn't know how to use Google. You're in the running with Hassan for the worst journalist I've ever seen. There's so much more I could say about Tyler. I've quite literally only scratched the surface of his content. I find his response to Vince particularly interesting. As of right now, I genuinely think you slandered a charity for views and you should be sued for that. You should fix it. Thanks for watching, subscribe to the channel, and buy your loved one a Valentine's gift at Holskern. Shout out to the homies over on Patreon: Crimson Glass, Riveter, Christina Vina, Mac Monkey, Drink Kobex, Necro Valley, Stefan Bildman, Abby Blackbird, The Confusing Opinion, Eddie Bizzle, Tiz McFitz, Christopher H, TV Anthology Reviews, Sentinel Music, Lucas If, ET Automatic, Snoopy Poop Doop 2, Amir Amal Bay, Deep Pocket Jew, Rudy Boo, Drew is Sharing, Clown Factory, Monkey D. Luffy, Shura, Noah, and the mega homies Reynolds Hughes Hellison, IGP Your Taxi, Cyber Katie, Lori Loaded, Papa Gut, Caden Lulin, BA Subway, Hawk and Load, Derek Dew, Kitty Cat, Terox, Fay Under, John Manfreda, Trick, Lucas, Katie Huck, and Leviathan.